Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for making time for this podcast so early in the morning. Well, before we start, let us quickly name this session. So, the session is called The Leadership Edge Transformative Journeys to the Top. So, welcome here. I would first like to introduce Mr. Vishal Gupta, the first guest today, who's the Principal Investments from ICICI Prudential AMC. Hi, Vishal.
Hi,
Thank you for
Madhu.
joining us.
Pleasure.
Vimalendra Singh, the Chief Business Officer Residential from Mahindra Lifespaces. Hi, Vimal. Thanks again for joining us for the talk show. Then I have Ashish Dhami with me, Chief Sales and Marketing and Product Design from Raheja Corp Homes. Thanks, Ashish.
Thank you for having me.
And Tejas Patil here, the founder of Arbour Investments. I think let's clap for each other for being here in the morning. Please help us with a small introduction.
So, Madhu, I've been working with ICICI Group for 18 years. That is where I started my career. And they were kind enough to put me on real estate, and the sector has grown so well. And I'm grown with the firm in the sector. So, yeah, so that's been me. So, I currently lead the office real estate acquisition strategy at ICICI Prudential.
Vimalendra Singh, I'm the Chief Business Officer Residential at Mahindra Lifespaces. So I manage the overall residential business from a P&L perspective for the company. Not a real estate guy, because given I was 13 years into banking, so I made a shift into real estate post 13 years into the banking world. And very excited to be part of real estate, given that what it is doing currently and its importance in the overall economic journey of the country.
True.
And very, very excited and optimistic about the future, and look forward to more discussions with all of you.
Well, hi, Ashish on the side. I've been with the residential business of Raheja Corp for the last 6 years now. And very similar to the journey Vimalendra has had, I've been a career banker post making the shift, but I've spent almost more than a decade and a half now in real estate. And the journey has been truly enriching in terms of taking the skills of distribution, which I learned the ABCs for, moving into roles which are more to do with getting closer to the consumer in terms of ensuring now that I look at not just the consumer verticals, but I also look at design overall.
Lovely.
So the idea here is, because as a business, we are a very consumer-focused, consumer-centric business where product is right at the center. I think that's an important edge that a consumer-facing role needs to have.
Sure.
And I think that's it's a very different kind of role, which is unlike any other organization, wherein the sales, marketing, customer CRM guy is also looking at design. So I think that's the front and center of our business. And I think unlike the rest of the industry, which is going leaps and bounds, where scale is a new normal, for us, scale really means getting closer to the customer and having an edge in terms of what he wants in terms of quality of life. So that's been my journey here, and it's an exciting journey that I've had.
Great, lovely, great to know.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I've been into finance and real estate right from the start. It's been 18 years now. Started my career as a capital market specialist, then into wealth advisory.
Sanctum, big role.
Yes, then as a fund manager, then Sanctum as heading the real estate vertical. But all throughout, I've been on the investor side. Okay, and also on the real estate side. So we started Arbour more than 3 years ago now. The idea was to implement all those learnings that we've had in the last 18 years and see that we have a business model which is robust and sees the future very strongly, and able to move along and implement those earnings really well.
Lovely. Thank you so much for this great introduction, all of you. Amidst the pandemic challenges, ICICI Prudential commercial portfolio managed to avoid vacancies and even experienced 10 to 15% of rental growth. Correct me if we have our facts right, under your leadership. What strategies did you employ to ensure stability and growth during such uncertain periods?
So Madhu, the period was very, very uncertain. So I think what has really helped us stand apart has been our processes, honestly, and the result has been just a thing which has happened out of it. So what have we been very meticulous in selecting assets into markets where the demand has been primarily been higher than the suppliers. So that has really
That
helped us.
equation has helped you.
That equation has really helped us because I think real estate is a very, very cyclical sector, is what we believe.
Correct.
And if you are in a right cycle at a point of time, you're obviously will be better placed vis-a-vis whatever headwinds you face. So that is number one, which helped us. And second, I think we're very, very active managers at the firm. We have ears really close to the ground at our end, and we're very nimble-footed, being a domestic firm. So the decision making is very, very quick at our end. So getting data in, understanding what's really changing helped us. And I think with this process and our ability to select those markets where there was no supply, tenants knew that had they vacated these premises, they will really not get anything. And a little bit of luck at our side, we were able to.
So perhaps if I put it in right management words, like a spin strategy that you perhaps would have used in terms of situation analysis, kind of probing, understanding, drawing inferences, and then coming up with the right solutions, timing the market, as you rightly said.
Yeah, so basically being fundamentally right, and even when there are headwinds, we were able to navigate better.
Mahindra Zen, Bangalore's first net zero waste plus energy residential project, it witnessed a phenomenal response. As we understand, selling 150 homes totaling to 350 plus crores is what your media talks about, in value in just about 2 odd days. What do you believe resonated most with the buyers in this particular project? Could you share some insights on that?
Yeah. So the latest information is that we are all sold out in that particular project. So that was an old media bite. But let me talk about sustainability. And I think Mahindra Lifespaces as a company, we take a lot of pride in saying that we are the only company which is completely green. In a sense, the entire portfolio is green. And over the last 2.5 years, there's a specific focus on net zero. Now, what do you mean by net zero? Obviously, there will be certain pluses, minuses, but eventually it should be a self-sustaining project. Now, in the net zero scheme, there are 3 major components, which is net zero water, net zero energy, and net zero waste.
Correct.
Right? And we strongly believe, and that's part of our RISE strategy, is that we borrow this planet from our future generations. There's a lot of responsibility that we owe to all the future generations which are going to come up, right? And we can't be simply saying that, hey, in our lifetime we'll be consuming all the resources and we'll leave none for the future generations. Think of our kids, right? What are we leaving them better off, or are we leaving them worse off? I mean, that's the thought behind it. So everything that we do from a sustainability perspective is not necessarily market driven. It is not necessary to say that, hey, because I'm a sustainable project, I need to get an extra premium from the consumer. It is frankly very much a need of the hour. It is a need of our times, and it is a responsibility. And I'm glad a lot of my fellow competitors in the industry have started to travel on that particular path. And I'm very, very confident that net zero is not going to be a variable. It's going to be a constant.
Was there a moment when things went hilariously wrong, and how did you handle it?
So, we wouldn't be where we are if we had not goofed up in the past. If you have not goofed up in the past, means you haven't tried enough.
So, any particular thing that you can share with us?
There are obviously many things. I'll give you an example from very early in my career, very, very early in my career. I passed out from IIM Ahmedabad. And generally, on a lighter note, I can say people who pass out from IIM Ahmedabad think that they'll become CEOs in the next 3 years, 4 years. It doesn't happen. 21 years down the line, we are still waiting for that to happen. So, given that I was a management associate in Citibank, I was invited to attend the management meetings. And the early exuberance,
Rush of blood, and
full exuberance, I would put it to that. Yeah. And when I was sitting in that management committee meeting, there was a sales head, very, very senior guy, was making a presentation about credit cards business. And obviously, Citibank credit cards those days
were absolutely the best.
And we were giving free credit cards, right? No annual fee and things like that. And then when he showed the performance of the salespeople, somebody sold 5 cards, somebody sold 7 cards, somebody sold 10 cards. So I was wondering, the best card in the world, no AMF, free lounge access, free golf access. Why can't we sell 1 card a day? And the power of restraint I learned that day. So I shouldn't have spoken up. But I said, this is not a good performance. And my country manager, country head was a very wise guy. He didn't say anything to me that day. He called me the next day and said, "Hey, Vimal, why don't you move to sales?" I started in marketing incidentally. So one was I was in credit card marketing.
Yeah.
And he says, "Why don't you move to sales? It's quite an exciting field."
Yeah.
I moved to sales, and no surprises. Very soon I realized even the free card to sell it one card a day is very, very difficult. So the learning that I had is many a times, we may never truly able to appreciate what others do till the time you actually do that particular role.
Absolutely.
Theoretically, things seem to be so logical, so correct.
Correct.
But practically, when you're actually doing it, the world is very, very different.
Ah.
So that was my learning, and I hope I can pass on that learning.
Amazing,
to other people.
amazing. Vivaria, with a 1700 crore project in Bangalore, which has got a huge potential, has generated remarkable buzz. Could you walk us through the vision behind this project and share your future plans for Bangalore ahead?
Well, I think, the residential businesses, Raheja Corp, certainly has this powerful brand. As a business, we really don't make too many projects with the Raheja name put up there. We look at each of these assets that we developed in the past and think we did it so well. Can we repeat it? So Vivaria is one such strong brand that we have within our portfolio, which was born out of Mahalakshmi maybe in 2008.
Oh,
But we loved the fact that project we fought off temptation over business cycle. We had Vishal talk about cyclicality of this business. The cyclicality of the business for a lot of developers means, can I go asset light when the chips are down? I think we stay put in a sense that we went from tower to tower. We built 5 towers, and funnily though, they all look the same today.
mm.
And this has happened over a period of 15 years. The last we delivered in 23, the first we started in 2008.
Yeah.
So it's been a 15-year journey, almost 2 million
And you've
square
made
feet
such a remarkable
delivered
mark in
in
this
Mahalakshmi.
Yeah.
And we fought off all those temptations. And today, look at the way that we've seen it play. We've seen it play during the downtimes. It was the best defensive play you could have had in the country, wherein that asset never dipped in terms of value. And when there was an upside, it was an exponential upside that people have. It transformed that location. So it was a very powerful brand for us, even when we launched our Bangalore project. A project here at Bangalore has a lot of similarities to the Mahalakshmi Vivaria that we carry.
Okay.
Notably, these are all expansive spaces. An average sellable area would be in the sale of about 3,000 to 3,500. So there are multi-crore homes that we are selling here. We've ensured that we've not degentrified this project one bit. We've ensured that we've always stood the test of time with our customers. The project possibly saw some of the most difficult phases, including the pandemic, wherein this project essentially was on the books of our hotel company. And we all knew what happened in the pandemic. You will be surprised to note that there have been about 100 residents of ours who've chosen to be with us through thick and thin over the last many, many years.
So what did you do to build this loyalty?
No, I sense we were as transparent as possible. When we got hit with a regulatory surprise, I think we were frank enough to tell them, hey, if you stay with us, we're happy to keep you. And hey, if this is your opportunity cost, it's not that it's going to be a lose-lose. It's going to be a win-win. If I am in this project, I'm also willing to share that opportunity cost with you to a certain degree. And a lot of times we've seen customers truly are cynical of the term developers, right? Let me put it, builders. That's the way we were historically known. I think they're cynical of that term because nobody trusts you. But I think here is a classical example where almost 70% of our audience who bought with us chose to stay with us all through thick and thin. Today we are on a stage where we've received the occupation certificates of 9 out of the 11 towers. None of our customers want to exit. They've ridden this wave. They want to still stay with us. They think that this project is worth its weight in gold. And let me tell you, after 8 years, 9 years of staying with us, there is technically no need of consumption. Because given these large sizes, these are meant for end use. They're not meant for investment. So it is important to understand that for each of one who stayed with us, they actually thought that while I'm not going to stay there because my needs have been met over the past many years, I still would like to keep it for estate or whatever otherwise.
Okay.
So I think that's been the very bedrock of the brand Vivaria. Okay. And I think we hope to deliver this later this year. And we hope it keeps getting
I'm sure
in a state which is only bettered. because for us, it's not just the project, it's also the community.
Yep.
And the community in Mumbai, Vivaria, is one of the top-notch communities considered in the city of Bombay. And we hope the
You're
Kormangla
able to
community,
emulate the
we are
same
able to
thing.
emulate the same at Kormangla here.
Great. Beyond the boardroom, leadership lessons from the top. All right. We have with us Mr. Shridhar, a visionary leader at Hiranandani Group, Mr. Sachin Tagra, the strategic mind behind JSW Ventures, Ganesh KC, the financial stalwart at Pratithi Investments, and Sree Priya NS, a pioneer in family office services at Entrust Family Office. So, Bluestone's recent funding that you've done round has set the stage for its IPO. Looking back, is there anything you would have approached differently here in the deal?
Okay. So I would say, we've been lucky to get a lot of these opportunities coming our way because we don't chase deals. So when this came by, we did our diligence and we found a lot of things which tick the boxes, right? From the understanding of the whole market space by the entrepreneur and what's stopping him from scaling, right? And what how he knows that how the unit economics work.
Sure.
Right? And those gave us a lot of confidence. So I don't think I would have changed anything. And I would also say that we also when we looked at it, there are similar opportunities which we could have invested at that point in time, which we didn't. But because
Any particular reason? Or
we don't chase deals, right? If it comes and if it comes at the right valuation, right?
So you cherry pick it as per your...
Yeah. But we keep having conversations. It's not that we're going to miss out because they will anyway raise money in the next round or even after that IPO, right? We want companies to go beyond and run, live
We have
for
to go
100
beyond
years,
the
right?
early stage and go to
Yeah,
growth
so
stage.
you play the 100-year equity story of that company, right?
It's a very interesting case study, Bluestone.
I know.
What a turnaround story. This was the business which was about to get shut
I know.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yes.
And the way it turned around. I
And
think
nobody
it's-
really knew about the brand that well. It
That's-
underplayed or I
Just
don't
to
know.
add to that,
Yeah.
the reason why it was going through was because of the guys on the cap table also having a peer pressure, right? You had people who were cash burning, and I don't want to name, but there were brands who were actually doing much faster burn and growing faster. And then you have phenomenal pressure on the entrepreneur, right? Should I do the same thing or should I do?
Chase profitability.
Yeah, chase profit.
That's a key challenge if you see in today's context. A lot of these companies, even I have one or a couple of them, where the peer pressure in terms of either chasing and growth or chasing profitability. And then it becomes a big equation and the composition of the investor sitting on the board and their mindset. So as you rightly said, it's all about the time that you get in and how the entrepreneur or the ecosystem is convenient and comfortable with you. And if you understand, like look at Lenskart, and I was looking at Meenakshi Sundaram and TCM, and then he was talking about how the guy was at a threshold where he said, should I go for this or leverage more? It was the investors who told him go ahead and do it. So that was the comfort that he got.
Sure.
So it makes a huge impact as to who the investor is in turning around the corner. And I think that's probably what
And
helped Bluestone.
just to add, just what I would, so even in Lenskart, so we are investors in Lenskart, which are directly as well. The point is that the growth story is much higher, right? So whether I got it when it was just in the early stage or not, I can play the IPO story and it's next 25 years of the equity story, right?
Correct.
The entire market, they've just scratched the surface.
Yeah,
And it's global market as well.
True. The personalized approach that you have adopted rather for ultra high net worth clients, it's remarkable, which we all know. I mean, I saw from the way the AUM came in, how you have kind of multiplied. Is there any particular strategy that you would like to further improvise to take this and reach the next milestone?
Okay, so we have grown in a very organic way till now. It's purely based on relationships, which Raj Mohan, the founder, myself, and few other colleagues of ours have, and which we kind of developed and now become a part of their family, like a family office now. So the way to scale is only by acquiring new talent, which is the most difficult in our business.
And
So-
people who would stay.
stay. So the
Clients have
right
become
talent-
smart. They don't move now.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, clients are still okay to move with the right person. That's what the whole industry is facing.
Yeah.
When RM moves from one bank to another, the money moves.
Family moves.
Yeah.
But hardly few percentage. I don't think holistically he's able to move the entire portfolio.
No, actually, the
Is it?
numbers statistics will tell you that when the RM moves, the money completely kind of moves.
Yeah?
Unless you have a strong banking relationship with
My own
assets.
Anand moved from Stanchart to HDFC to DBS. He moved my money and finally I put a stop to it saying, you go wherever you want.
I should have
Let
such
me-"
clients.
No, because what happens, we don't, most of the clients, it's more personalized, right? So
Yeah.
if she's not going to meet all the clients, so she's going to get her manager to meet some client and manage.
Yeah.
So we are at a stage where we are at a cusp. We right now have a direct relation with every client.
Great.
But if you have to scale, we obviously have to go to
Correct.
talent search and
Correct.
hire RMs from the market, where again this could be a possibility. But the difference from the normal distributor or the banks and the wealth managers and us would be we act as an advisor and a family office custodian. So the money can still continue with the wealth managers. We can come as a super advisor,
Got it.
advising them. So we are not a competition to the wealth managers to that sense.
Okay.
So the money can continue with 2 or 3 wealth managers because typically every client who has got 100 crores or 200 crores would already have some
Correct.
existing banking relationships or
Sure.
private banking arrangements, right? So we do not continue, we do not shake it as such. We will slowly, make a system, make a process in place. As I said, the investment policy framework and everything, and then gradually advise the investment process. And then if there is a merit in any direct investment which we are catering to other family office clients, then the money gets allocated to us directly. Otherwise, we just remain as advisory
Advisory body,
and they can manage their money through their wealth management.
Oh, nice.
funds.
So like what we have done in the family office exactly, we have one guy consolidating all the wealth,
Yeah.
but we have 3 different wealth managers out of say 400 crores to 300 crores, and then and then we have our internal family office, very bare minimum team. So something that we manage, but we are single family office. So we are
And
able
the
to do
multi-families, there's a
whereas they are
difference.
doing a multi-family office, I think what she's suggesting makes a lot of sense in terms of as a product and service.
Leaders of impact, stories behind success. So we have Mr. Siddharth Roy Kapur here, founder and MD, Roy Kapur Films. We have Pavan Ranga, Chairman, Ranksons and Director, NR Group. And we have with us Hiroshi Nishijima, CEO of Zoomcar. Thank you, all of you. So welcome to this podcast by Brand Talk, and I am your host today, Madhushree, who is the founder and CEO of Brand Talk. And today we have an incredible trio of leaders joining us. Straight away asking you, Siddharth, your work has reshaped storytelling in the entertainment world. How do you balance creative freedom with business side of filmmaking?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question when it comes to any creative industry, right? Because you're always trying to balance art and commerce, and there's that sort of delicate balance that you need to maintain between the two.
True.
I think the first thing is to stay humble about not resting on your laurels of the past, because I mean, all glory is very fleeting when it comes to any creative business. And I think you really need to start from ground zero on every project.
True.
And so don't be weighed down by the baggage of past scar tissue that might be caused by either success or failure. Because very often we tend to have those mindsets when we react to a creative, piece of work. And so I try to be as objective as possible and remove any of the baggage of the past. For example, if I might have done a comedy just recently that hasn't worked at the box office and I'm here in another comedy, I might laugh my head off and then say, no, but I mean, do I want to do another comedy? But actually that might be the one to do.
Yeah.
It's just that it's coming on the back of one that hasn't worked. Right?
Sure, true.
And I think that's where we often let our inborn prejudices come in the way. I think also it's about not putting people into boxes and not presuming that because someone is business, they don't understand creative, or someone is creative, they don't understand business. And so just trying to deal with each individual as they are.
And even each project as it is.
Yes, exactly.
So that's worked for you, you're
There's
saying.
just a few things that one has to keep in
So
mind.
most of your films have done so well commercially. Is it this reason particularly that you have a perfect blend of the commerce and the creative side to it? Because a lot of filmmakers today, they are very emotional about their project. And in that emotions, they also lose the math. And that's where a lot of films don't do well. So you have any thoughts to that?
I think the producer has to be the catalyst, and you have to let the director be really passionate about the project, because that's their job, right?
True.
If they aren't passionate, they aren't feeling emotionally invested, then they're not, going to be giving it their all. You've got to be sort of the rational voice in the room when it comes to guiding it towards a direction that might be more market oriented. At the same time, without demotivating the creative people involved in the process, and sort of ensuring that you maintain that delicate balance all the time. So I'd say emotion and passion are very important in the business I'm in, and actually I believe in any business, right? But you just have to be the right kind of catalyst in that process and not veer too much one way or the other.
So moving to Hiroshi, I have a question here that your journey spans continents and sectors. From consulting to leading major app-based mobility platforms. What's the biggest leadership lesson you've learned in the fast-paced industry? And can you share a bold decision that turned an idea into reality?
I think broadly, my role hadn't changed that much since I moved from consulting industry to a startup, because consultants basically serves to CEOs. It helps CEOs to
facilitates or guides or advise
and helps
rather.
to. So basically, CEOs is people who always have something in their mind, right? I want to go to right. So then the consultant's role is to not to tell him to go to left, right? It's a role is to help him faster to go to the right hand side.
True.
So that's the role. And then when I moved to tech industry, I reported to CEOs, founder CEOs. They are essentially the same as like a big company CEOs. They have always like tons of things they want. Oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. My role was to help him to get there, and sometimes slightly help him to prioritize things, because they have so many things in their mind. So in that sense, there's no big change in my mind. But after I was appointed as a CEO, it's a totally different world.
Ballgame.
Totally different world. So I need to make a decision, or right hand side or left hand side, which side.
Back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, when I set up the electronics design and manufacturing outfit, I said, let's focus on engineered products for aerospace, for medical electronics, for oil and gas, because that's what India's strength is. Because the consumer electronics were all going to China, and China was super efficient.
True.
But then I realized as I grew and bid on global contracts, components pricing is a economies of scale game. Now, I didn't have the volumes in my business, but I had to be competitive. I didn't know what to do. So I put my mind and heart into possible solutions. What I ended up doing was I got one company similar to mine in every continent. Went to Brazil, went to North America, China, Vietnam, Europe. Got us all together, built a back-end database consolidating all our component buys. Went and negotiated with the global big semiconductor guys. And got world-class competitive pricing. Now, what they did was my competitors at my size had no way to compete with me anymore. And so we grew almost, this is traditional cutting-edge manufacturing, not a digital play. And we grew 10x in 5 years.
Oh.
It was humongous growth, humongous, profitable, significant growth. And I think that decision that I took, and we set up the central sourcing office in Shenzhen, and then Hong Kong. This, I think, made me feel very proud because, this was a key inhibiting factor, and I was able to crack that, and it made me feel very, very proud of myself, when these things happen. So that's,
amazing.
I would say,
amazing.
One of the prouder moments of
Thank you for sharing this big achievement. So, Pavan, with such a diverse career, ever had a moment where your wildlife photography or trekking adventures unexpectedly took center stage in a boardroom? We'd love to hear about a funny mishap from that.
Well, to be honest, I can't think of one. I'll have to make up one, which I don't want to. But I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of mishaps in the boardroom. The funniest thing I can remember was, there was a shareholder conference, and the shareholders were asking some questions, and I was completely in another zone because I had just come back from a wildlife trip. My mind was absorbed in processing those photos and everything. And I gave them an answer that absolutely did not make sense to them, not to me. But luckily, these shareholders were private investors and it's not a listed entity yet. But they were looking at me, not knowing what to say. And I could see, and then I got a message from my cousin saying, "What the hell are you saying?" I was like, I don't know, I was just stunned. I didn't know whether to laugh. And then I was very honest with them though. Then I said, "Look guys, I'm totally zoned out. I have no idea what I'm talking." And these things have happened.
Good. That's nice. Hilarious. So, Pavan, considering AISL's focus on sustainable lifestyles, how do you see the intersection of alternative investments and industrial innovation driving major investments and progress in diversified sectors with like electronics and aerospace?
I'll give you a perspective. I'll give you two perspectives. One, as an investor. When I look at, I run our family office, our entire family's family office. And every time we have a liquidity event, I'm talking to all the potential wealth management advisors or the investment banker intermediaries and so on. I think as an industry, we have a long way to go. We don't have sophisticated products for more mature investors. Investor is now most investors are a lot more globally aware of what alternative investment instruments are available and possible.
True.
So this is one. The second thing is people who sell products, alternative investment products, the sales guys don't have a clear understanding of articulating risk.
True.
They know what is the return that is projected or estimated or targeted. But ability to articulate and understand risk for an investor is the key role of that intermediary.
Absolutely.
And this I have seen has a major gap.
Yes.
And we have an investment vehicle in Singapore and US, and I've seen how those interactions go. So I think there is a way to go in alternative investments, especially for the more sophisticated investor community. That is from an investor standpoint. As somebody who's running a company that is having multiple companies, some having private equity in it, some on the verge of going IPO, some with debt capital and so on. Again, I have seen, for example, defense and aerospace, right? Any industry that has a long gestation has a challenge of working capital.
Yes.
And then if they're growing fast, then that gets exaggerated. Now, the banking system in India does not have a solution for this. They don't have a product.
True.
Now, the alternate investment market is what should come in and plug this now.
Absolutely.
So the NBFCs, have a quasi little bit of an idea. The non-traditional AIFs are trying to plug it, but we're trying to find a way. But what I've seen as a good part in all of this is that the funding community, whether it's the equity funding, debt funding, or the alternate investment funding community, they are open to adapting to this change.
And they're also looking at sunrise sectors today.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they're looking to learn from how, what kind of solutioning can be provided. So that's the good part.
Yes.
As somebody who's looking for investments, and that was a perspective as an investor.
Lovely. So what an insightful and thought-provoking session this was, and I sincerely thank all of you for spending this time. You were running short of time, still you gave me so much, so really grateful for that. So your contributions to cinema, mobility, and diversified industries are really, really very inspiring. So on behalf of Brand Talk and AISL, we deeply appreciate your time. Before we wrap up, let's capture this moment with a little photograph, commemorating this evening dialogue. Please join me. So the name of the podcast today is Sustainability in Action, Thought Leaders Who Inspire. All right. Podcast where we explore the stories, experience and insights of visionary leaders like yourself who are shaping the future of industries and inspiring a new generation of change makers. I'm your host, Madhushree Dutta, CEO of Brand Talk, and today I'm proud to hear from you who have made a remarkable mark in your own field.
Thank you.
And my first question here to you would be that as an award-winning leader, you have guided Atos Solutions to excel as an employer and and also in the customer satisfaction bit. You have been highly focused, is what we understand. How do you cultivate this high-performance culture, and what personal challenges shaped you? What message would you share with the aspiring young leaders?
Well, I think the first point is to lead by example. If you need a high performance organization, you also need to be high performing. Now, what do I mean by saying that high performing? High performing does not necessarily mean that you work the most or you spend the most hours in the work. That is not what I mean. I mean that the high performance should get exerted from you as a personality. That would mean that the way you communicate with your people with a lot of energy, a lot of passion, no coldness whatsoever, the way you react to your people's say concerns, objections, their celebrations or their praise, the way you react, that energy that you reflect, the warmth that you reflect, the way you take the baton of a challenge in a crisis scenario. I always call myself as the battlefield manager. So that means that when you see that there are certain things which are slowing down or not happening, instead of sitting in the boardroom and trying to be critical about the person who is slowing it down, you jump into it and work with that person. And finally, you also give an example of how things have transformed yourself, whether you are say on time, or whether the PowerPoint that you make is all error free, or the impact, the way you present to a customer is very positive. All of that translates into what culture you disseminate down below to your team.
Absolutely.
It
all percolates all down, and that's that's what we talk about, bird's view and understanding situations.
Exactly. And it is like you cannot be holding a cigarette on your left hand and preaching about saying that smoking is injurious to health.
Absolutely.
It is not like that. So I think in corporate environment, in leadership positions, you really have to walk the talk. At least I do that myself, so that people do not have an option to say that no, he is not doing it and is telling us to do. So that's the first thing I would say.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for that piece. Now, to understand your perspective better, if you had to choose a role model today, who would you do and why?
Well, there are many, and role models are always depending on what you are doing. But if I have to try and take a very 360-degree view of a role model that I would like to mold myself into, it will be SBM, that is Sunil Bharti Mittal. And the reason being many. The reason being that he comes from a non-technical background, a commerce graduate, and building an empire of a telecom career, one of the best. That has to have something to take that organization to that level.
Absolutely.
But what impresses me the most, and that is my mantra as a leader, is that a leader is actually someone who doesn't have to know everything. A leader must know who knows it, and a leader must have the ability to command respect from those people who know it, so that they come together and build the dream that the leader wants to build. Sunil Bharti Mittal has exactly done that. That is the reason I really admire him.
Oh, lovely. So I have one question here that's starting with you. If I talk about, as someone who has led Atos through a period of remarkable growth, how did the pandemic shift your leadership style? Also, was there any significant transformation in the way you fostered a very high performance environment post pandemic?
So as I said, it is your organization is made of people. Whatever technology you put, whatever automation you put, you will have people who would be around
to run an organization, the first thing that I did, and I continue to do, is to reach out to people. I remain very accessible, and I'm largely aware about some of or most of my employees, where they come from, which car they drive, for example. Or a lady employee is there, their kids are studying in school, and things like that. These are just small things, and I think the power of keeping your hand on one of your male employee's shoulder has got immense magic. When you walk around on the floor and keep your hand on the shoulder of one of your junior employees, saying that ki aur kya chal raha hai, and that has got, and sab theek hai, and then that magic has got immense amount of motivation.
Camaraderie also,
yeah,
to a great extent.
And same thing goes with our women employees, where you understand that they are real multitaskers. Women, in my opinion, are able to do things which I am not able to do. At least let me not go to men, at least to me. Okay, so they are able to take care of home, and they are able to take care of their family. They are still able to work, and we expect them to do exactly the same that others do. So that bit of walking around and appreciation has got real magic, I would say, and that has been one of my biggest strengths of uniting people, putting in a lot of transparency among them, and telling them that you need to be bare totally when you are working, so that there is no backbiting, or don't talk in behind. Whatever we are in front, good, bad or ugly. And last point is that I always tell my people that you are lucky, or somewhat lucky, that we are in an organization where every month we have got fixed paycheck that comes. If you had you been an entrepreneur, we would have had a different mindset altogether.
Ask me.
but at the same time, I tell them that you can think like an entrepreneur. It's the best of the both worlds, and that worked pretty well. My people understood business very well. They understood the significance of lapses, significance of doing good work very well. These are the two aspects. One is reaching out to our people, and second one is telling them that you are also an entrepreneur in your mind, and think like that. Whatever you do, really had a very big impact, I would say.
Very nice. So my last session and question for the day would be: AISL has been a platform that brings thought leaders, like you rightly said, content, creating spaces for knowledge exchange and collaboration. We'd love to hear your insights on the value these type of forums provide, and any advice you have for leaders or how to maximize these opportunities.
So first and foremost, I think, I always say this, and I will say it again today, that if businesses were happening remotely, then aircraft would fly only in holiday season. The very reason that why aircrafts are flying every day, and largely the revenue of aircraft is because of business people, that means we need to meet to do business. That is for sure, it's non-negotiable. So if that is what has to be believed, then forums like what AISL is doing is definitely very important for us if we are in business and if we want to conduct business. That's the first point I would like to make. So is it relevant? Does it have to happen? Does it need to continue to happen more intensely? Answer is a definite yes. There is no two ways about it. The second part of your question, we are talking about what suggestions, rather, I would say. I quoted you Coppola's that statement in one of the award ceremonies. He said, great movies have got great scripts, and give me great scripts and I make great movies. I think that programs like yours, if they have got great content, in 1 day or 2 day or 3 day program that you are doing, and content, what I mean to say here is that if, let's say, we are having a panel discussion, or we are calling a speaker, and if those panel members or those speakers have got amazing amount of content which can connect with the crowd and which they can relate, your program or such programs would be very relevant, very important, and very, very business centric.
So did you feel that today we have been able to achieve some bit of success in what you're saying?
Yes, and what I also observed that AISL mixed business, rather I would say AISL viewed this program, viewed business all across. So movie industry is also a business, startup is also a business, IT organizations like ours is also a business, and I see all film production is also a business. I saw Siddharth also here. So I think this is the real thought leadership that you are bringing in. This is how it needs to be. That everything, I go on forums and speak on, let's say, HR as business partner, human resource as a division. People think that they are support functions. But I think they are very business oriented. They really are important for business. Likewise, in today's program, this is my one clear observation, differentiator, I would say, that you could mix it.
Thank you.
Really,
Thank
very
you.
good.
That's a great testimonial from you, and our endeavor would be to do better every year with every edition.
Yes.
And with people like yourself sharing such great insights, I'm sure this is going to be a successful journey for us as well.
And I must not stop by saying the amazing amount of energy I saw yours today, and the amazing amount of energy that your team has been doing for last many days. The way they are following up, the way they are reminding, just you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, but don't forget about AISL. Awesome. I would say great work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So we now come to the end, and thank you for this great, insights, and we'll end this session with a photograph together as memory.
Sure. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.